Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. And today I'm talking about relationship advice for young and new couples, okay? So if you're fresh into a new relationship and you're relatively young, let's say you're still maybe in your 20s, maybe you're even a teenager or something like that, but let's say you're young and you're in this new relationship, how can you make it last long term? Right? And this advice is also for people that perhaps have already had relationships before too. And maybe you're a bit older as well. So it's kind of universal in that sense. If you've got a new relationship, then these kind of things not only work for young couples, but they can work for older couples too. They're in a new relationship, okay? So let's get into the first point that I want to make, and that is to stick with someone you're not only attracted to, but you enjoy their company. So especially young people, right? They go for looks, right? And they go for the passion and all that kind of stuff. And that's fair enough, right? It's good to have that. It's good to have those moments where you see someone for the first time and your heart just starts beating really quickly and stuff like that. But unfortunately, because sometimes we can have those experiences, we can falsely believe that because we've watched too many movies, basically, like too many Disney movies or something, or too many romantic comedies, we think that because we've seen someone from across the room, become intensely attracted to them, that they're the one, right? But I've had many experiences like that when I've seen a girl that I'm really attracted to across the room, right? I've had many times when I've had that, right? Especially when I was like in my early 20s and stuff and a teenager, and I was thinking, oh yeah, she's the one. She's the one for me. And then it always turned out that she wasn't. Either she was straight, so obviously she wasn't the one for me, or she was unavailable in some other kind of way, right? Like it was like an inappropriate relationship because it was someone like higher up, like a teacher or something like that, right? So it was always not right, okay? So even though it can seem like a love at first sight kind of moment, don't always believe that, right? Because it's not always the case. Of course, it's a good idea to be with someone that you're attracted to, and sometimes, people can have those experiences and it can actually lead to a healthy relationship. I'm not saying that that's out of the realms of reality. Those types of things have definitely happened, but they're very rare, and it doesn't always mean that they're the one for you, okay? So if you've got an intense attraction for someone, that's great, that's good, but you've also got to make sure that you enjoy their company also, right? And that you both enjoy each other's company. That not only are you attracted to each other, but you're good companions, you're good friends, you have lots in common, right? Because this is what I mean by that, right? You enjoy their company because you have lots in common, right? Because I meet so many couples that end up separating or have really turbulent marriages and relationships because even though they're attracted to each other, they have zero things in common, and they don't spend time together. The only time they spend together is in the bedroom, right? And that often leads to miscommunication down the road, a lot of unhappiness, because, that's all they have. They only have that attraction. They only have that intimate relationship. They don't have a more deeper relationship where it's more like a friendship, right? And it's important that you have both. It's important that you're attracted to your partner and that you're friends, right? And you enjoy doing the same things. Now, of course, it doesn't mean everything has to line up. It doesn't mean that you have to enjoy absolutely everything that they like doing, right? Because perhaps, like, let's say you have kind of like a different taste in music, right? Now, of course, obviously, sometimes that might be really important to someone. So if you're a big music fanatic, right, and it really bothers you if someone doesn't like the same kind of music as you, then obviously if that's something important to you, then you need to find someone who also has a similar taste in music than what you do. But if it's not important to you, like how it's not really that important to me, then it doesn't matter, right? So in a way, you kind of got to figure out what's important to you. Like, for example, for me, like, I love going out on walks. I love going out and, doing some sightseeing. I love to like sit somewhere with my wife and do some people watching. Like, we love doing that kind of thing. And that's something that we both enjoy doing, right? And we generally both like the same kind of TV programs. We're happy to do that on days that we're not going out for walks and stuff like that. And basically, generally, we just have a lot in common, right? Because we live the same kind of lifestyle. Like, neither of us are party people, right? We don't like the party lifestyle. The biggest parties we go to are family barbecues, right? Which are always like over for us by like 9 o'clock, because we always go to bed at 9 o'clock, right? We don't drink excessively or anything like that. Neither of us smoke, and we live the same kind of lifestyle. We always wake up at the same time. We always go to bed at the same time together. We're in sync, right, in that kind of way. And the things that we do on the weekends, we love to do together. We enjoy doing those things, right? So it's not only important that you're attracted to each other, but you live the same kind of lifestyle and you like to do the same things. There are activities that you can do together that you enjoy. That's not just in the bedroom. Okay, it's really important that you find someone who is like that and that you stick with someone who is like that. Okay, so hopefully if you're in a new relationship, you found someone like that, right? Otherwise, you're just going to be living separate lives, and unfortunately, it's going to be quite miserable. Okay, because what you got to remember is, if you're hoping to spend your life with this person, right, you got to look long term, like, oh my God, this is going to be my life, my experience for the next 50, 60 years. Right, that's what you got to be looking at. Like, oh my God, I have to spend this amount of time with them, right? I should be, right? I should be very careful with who I pick, right? Okay, so that's a long time, okay? Right, and it would be great if you don't get divorced down the road. So it's good, because that always messes things up. That always messes people up. It messes people up financially. It breaks families apart. It's never a good idea, okay? But unfortunately, it does happen in our society, and it's usually because everyone's picking the wrong people to be with. Okay, so the next point that I want to make is, you got to find someone and stick with someone who respects you. Okay, now respect is a bit of a big term, because there's many forms of it, and basically, and it can be it may sound a bit vague, right? So what do I mean by respect? Well, first of all, they shouldn't be like belittling you in public, right? This is a good one, right? And sometimes I see this happening with couples, right? Like the wife or the husband is shaming the other one in public, saying like, oh yeah, he's always doing this, or yeah, she's always doing that, oh, she's so lazy, or he's so lazy, he never does this, and it just makes the other person feel like so small and so crap. Right, so you want to find someone who actually lifts you up, who's actually your cheerleader, not someone who is kind of like always rolling their eyes at you and thinks that everything that you do is stupid, basically. Right, you want to find someone who actually respects not only you as a person, right, and your behaviors, but they respect what you do, like what you do for a living or what you are trying to achieve with your life, and they don't think that what you're doing is dumb, right? And that there's that kind of like mutual sort of like respect as well, like if, for example, let's say that you always tell your girlfriend that she looks really beautiful, right? Are you getting that back in return? Like, is she like, when you dress up and looking sharp and stuff, is she saying that you look really handsome and stuff like that? Are you getting that mutual respect, basically, that mutual love there, right? So that's really important too. So just be careful of any signs of disrespect, right? And you'll know if you're being disrespected by your partner in some way. You'll have like this internal feeling, right? Because what they'll do is they'll be saying stuff, and maybe they might not be saying things that are particularly mean, but it might be the way that they're saying it makes you feel uncomfortable, makes you feel small, makes you feel useless, right? So be very careful with how you are feeling, right? So if you start dating someone who is like that, who is disrespecting you, then it's time to call it quits and find someone who actually is respecting you and cherishes you and sees you as valuable and not treating you like rubbish. Okay? So another piece of advice for young and new couples is to learn the different ways men and women communicate. Okay? And this is the same for homosexual couples as well, because usually even in homosexual couples, like the kind of relationship I'm in, there's usually one that's more masculine and there's usually one that's more feminine, right? And people who are masculine, people who are feminine, they communicate in different ways. And one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of people make, like for example, women, they expect men to act and think like women, right? And to communicate like women. Whereas men think the same. They think, think the opposite, right? So they think, oh yeah, men, women think and act and communicate like men, right? And that's one of the biggest mistakes, because if you go to the person that you love and you start communicating to them in a way that you would like to be communicated to, that might rub them up the wrong way. So you have to learn the different styles of how men and women communicate, right? So a good book that can help on this is Men Are From Mars and Women From Venus. There's lots and lots of case studies in that book, and I'm sure you'll be able to find some examples that resonate very true to you. So I highly recommend, if you want to learn how to communicate effectively with your partner, that you check out that book, okay? So please do. I do have a list of recommended books on an Amazon page that you'll be able to find in the description of this video. If you do purchase any books through that link, then I will get a small commission, but it'll be of no additional cost to you, okay? Or alternatively, you can just write down the titles of those books. You can just click on the page, write down the titles. You don't have to buy anything, and then go and find cheaper versions in your local library or online, right, somewhere like eBay, okay? But they're there if you want to see. Men Are From Mars and Women From Venus are one of those books, okay? So another piece of advice that I would give young and new couples is to never stop dating each other, okay? So this is really important. So what you got to learn is the way that you keep your partner, right? The way that you keep them and keep them magical alive long term is how you got your partner, right? So you got to continue basically the courtship, right? It should be continuous. It should be forever. You should not give up on dating your partner, right? And that's really, really important, because basically if you don't, and let's say you let things slide and you let yourself go and you stop caring and you stop courting your partner and you stop putting in the effort, basically they're going to start seeing you as not the same person that they fell in love with, right? Which will make them fall out of love with you, essentially, right? So don't ever let that slide. Right, so what you got to do is you got to kind of remember, right, and keep in your head, like, how did I dress when we started dating? How did I touch him or her when we started dating? How did I talk to him or her? How did I text him or her when we started dating? How did we behave around each other? How did I behave around them, right? What did we do together? How would I hold their hand? You know, things like that. Those are the things that you got to keep in mind, right? And to do those. Now, it doesn't mean that you repeat dates over and over and over again. Right, come up with new creative things that you can do together. It doesn't mean that, oh yeah, because we used to go to this restaurant a lot when we started dating, we should continue to go to that restaurant, right? Because sometimes that can get boring. So it's a good idea to like break up the monotony, basically, and to essentially, you know, find other places that you can go to together, right? Go to a different restaurant or go and do some different kind of activity or something like that. And that will really help as well. That will help keep things fresh. That will help keep things alive. And it's also a good idea to make sure that the polarity is still there, right? So that means the masculine and the feminine, right? So it's very, because sometimes when you spend too much time with someone, which you do when you're in a relationship, sometimes you can start to become the same person, right? So you become like this mesh of male and female, both of you. But really what you want to do is you want to keep those roles intact, right? So if you're a guy watching this, then you want to continue being the masculine person that you always was, and if you're a woman watching this, you want to continue being the feminine person that you always was, right? Don't start morphing into each other. I try to avoid doing that kind of thing. Okay, try to keep a part of yourself inside of you. Sometimes you can lose yourself in a relationship, and you can morph into one. Which is quite good in some ways because you're in sync with each other, but it can be bad in other ways because you start to dress the same, you start to act the same, you behave the same around each other, and sometimes it can ruin the attraction, and therefore it can stop intimacy, right? So, you know, guys out there, you can want to stay in being the masculine guy that you was, and the women, you know, you used to continue being that feminine person that you always was. Or if you feel like you were more feminine, like, because sometimes you can get, because it's all that matters is polarity. So sometimes you can actually get a relationship where a guy is more feminine and the woman is more masculine, right? So you got to figure out what your role was and how you feel inside. And if you feel like, yeah, I'm a guy, but I'm more feminine, then you continue to be that way, okay? So don't get that mixed up, okay? And like I said, it's the same with homosexual relationships. Like, how do you feel inside? Can you tell that your partner is the more feminine one or the more masculine one? And then whatever they are, you match that, right? Okay. So if they're more feminine, then you become more masculine, right? And that will help with the polarity and help keep the attraction alive, because that's what sexual attraction is, right? If you're attracted to someone, you're usually attracted to them because of their femininity or their masculinity. So if you're a masculine person watching this, you're probably attracted to guys and girls. Well, if you're depending on what your sex is or what your sexual orientation is, and what your sexual preference is. So if you're a straight male watching this, then you're attracted to feminine women, probably, right? Right, and you probably like those really, really girly girls, right? Really girly women, right? Who like dress up nice, keep their hair long, that sort of stuff. So you're probably really attracted to that. Wear lots of makeup. You're probably really attracted to that. And the vice versa goes for someone who's attracted to masculinity. Okay, so you're probably attracted to guys who are like really. If you're a feminine woman watching this, then you're probably attracted to guys who are very stoic. They don't have to be physically strong, but they're strong in other ways, right? They're very decisive leaders. You know, you're probably really attracted to that. Okay, so keep the polarity there. Okay. So the last point that I want to make on this is to never go to bed angry. Like this, there was like some kind of study done. I can't remember exactly when it was made, but basically, when it came to like people talking to couples that had stayed together for a long time, one of the core things that a lot of them said, you know, like let's say like couples that met each other when they were like 17 and then they stayed with each other until they were like 80 and was dying basically, right? One of the things that they said was they never went to bed angry at each other. So that means if you're angry at your partner or you're upset with them in some way, you talk it out before you go to bed. It doesn't matter if it goes way into the night and you have to get up early tomorrow. They will stay up all night and they will try and work things out. And that's really, really essential. So it's a good idea to follow that, to adopt that, and to not go to bed angry at your partner. Okay, so that's my advice for young and new couples. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com. I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.